Hi everyone, my name is David Mitchell. Sheila Campbell Tuggy was my mother Mary's younger sister and my wonderful auntie. Here is Auntie Sheila with me and my little cousin Joy in the hills of the Isle of Arran in the summer of 1961. I had a special affection for Aunt Sheila. Let me tell you a bit about her. She was born Sheila Macmillan Campbell on the 29th of December 1931. She was named Sheila Macmillan after her father's mother, Julia Macmillan, whom everyone called Sheila. You see, Sheila is Gaelic for Julia. Her family were Gaelic speakers from the Kintyre Peninsula in the west of Scotland, and this Julia Macmillan married Duncan Campbell, and so their children were members of Clan Campbell. Her father, George Campbell, and his wife, Joan, named her after George's mother then. And being named after one's grandparents in this way was an old Scottish tradition. The first daughter was named after the mother's mother. That's how they named my mother. The second daughter was named after the father's mother, like Aunt Sheila. Then with the boys it was contrariwise. The first was named after the father's father, the second after the mother's father. But Aunt Sheila's brother, Sandy, was an exception. They named him after his uncle Alexander, who fell in the First World War. Now you should know that Clan Campbell were big players in old Scotland. In fact, from the fall of the Stuart dynasty until well into the 19th century, the head of Clan Campbell, the Duke of Argyll, was the second most powerful man in Great Britain after the King in London. Not even the King meddled with the Duke of Argyll in case the Duke raised the wild Highlands against him. So the King just left him to mind his own business up in the wild north. In fact, Auntie Sheila's daddy, my grandpa George Campbell, had a theory that his daddy, Duncan Campbell, should actually have been the Duke of Argyll. Not that he made a big thing of this, of course, but he believed that a few generations back, someone had been declared insane who was sane, or declared sane who was insane, and his own branch of the family had lost the inheritance. Perhaps he was right. The Lord knows. But the result was that young Sheila grew up not doing dressage on the gracious acres of Inverary Castle, but playing hopscotch on the streets of Cardonald, Glasgow. Not that that was so bad, really. And of course, all the members of Clan Campbell do trace their descent from the ancient lords of Argyll, so all of you who are Aunt Sheila's children should know that you have ancient Scottish aristocratic blood coursing through your veins. Och, aye. She went with her family to the local church, which had a thriving youth group. According to my mother, the minister of the church thought that this was thanks to his great preaching. But there was actually another explanation. The caretaker, wee Bobby Gallagher, was going round all the kids saying, "Are you saved yet? Are you saved yet?" So that's how my mother came to the Lord, and I suspect that's how Aunt Sheila came too. Rest in peace, Bobby Gallagher. Aunt Sheila decided at an early age to become a missionary. You'll have heard how she left school at 16, quite against her father's wishes, without doing her leaving certificate. She told him, "You don't need O-levels to be a nurse, and I'm going to be a nurse and serve the Lord." And after she'd finished her nursing training, she cycled, yes, cycled from Glasgow to London to study at the Wycliffe Centre. None of us have been able to figure out quite why she did this. Perhaps it was a case of, if Gladys Aylward can walk over the hills to China, then I can cycle to London. Aunt Sheila married Uncle John. Uncle John was an American. My brothers and I thought that was pretty cool. He looked like an American. He even had a gold tooth. We used to wonder how much that gold tooth was worth. They were missionaries in the middle of the Peruvian jungle, among the headhunters. That was pretty cool too. One time they brought me a bow and 5 arrows. 2 arrows were for killing animals, 2 were for killing fish, and 1 with a club head was for stunning monkeys. I took it into school and started shooting it in the playground. It was the only time I ever saw the school authorities remotely concerned about public safety. What I liked best about Auntie Sheila was her gentle, untroubled nature. One time my youngest brother, Andrew, went up the hills near our house with Ruth. They spent the day filling their pockets right up with blueberries, which isn't a great idea. And Ruth, in particular, came home with the whole front of her dress stained dark blue with blueberry juice. Aunt Sheila met her at the door, but there was no yelling or scolding, just a smile and, "Oh, Ruthie, what have you done?" We loved her story about how she was singing along to Scottish songs in the middle of the Peruvian jungle, and there was an old Shapra woman listening. And Aunt Sheila was singing, "My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June." And the Shapra woman asked her what the words meant, and she explained their meaning. And the old lady sighed, "No one writes songs like that in Peru. I wish someone would write a song like that for me." My characteristic remembrance of Aunt Sheila is telling her about some trouble or problem, and she would say, "Oh, Davy, that's okay. The Lord knows. He'll take care of it." She always trusted the Lord, and she always called me Davy. Now you have to know that Davy, with an IE on the end, is a very characteristic Scottish form of the name. I always liked it, and in fact, she's the person I mostly remember calling me Davy. My grandparents, her mother and father, called me Davy too, and my mother sometimes, but Aunt Sheila is the one I really remember always calling me Davy. She used to say, "Well done, Davy. That's all right, Davy. The Lord knows. He'll take care of it, Davy." Since she left us, no one has called me Davy. But any auntie who calls me Davy gets top marks, so Auntie Sheila got top marks all the time. In summer of last year, my own mother was diagnosed with skin cancer. She was given a year to live, but her dear sister's death in October hit her hard. She started saying, "It's time I was gone," and she went quickly downhill. She went to be with Jesus just a few days ago, on Monday, the 9th of January. So now Sheila and Mary, so often parted in this world, are reunited. They are with their brother Sandy, and they are with their forebears, so many of whom were people of illustrious faith. One day we'll join them too, maybe even when the Lord comes. I really look forward to seeing Auntie Sheila on that day and hear her saying, "Well done, Davy. You see, the Lord took care of it." Thank you for listening. God bless you all.